Hello, Heatseekers. It's the Heat Sheet.
Hello there, and welcome to a new edition of the Heat Sheet. I'm your guest editor this week, Stephen Roche. Kris has decided to give me the editorial seat this week, as it's my birthday, and he wanted to do something nice for me for a change.
There you go. That's better than blowing it that you're in candles in it.
It's true. As you just heard here, that's our usual editor-in-chief, Kris Jack. Kris, how are you this evening?
I am absolutely fantastic. I'm sweltering underneath the new dining room lights that I have, but I'm ready to give my roasting hot takes. In fact, no, that's the other podcast we're doing it. Hot take. I'm ready to give you the best of the week's news in whatever format you wish to have it from me.
So as long as it's hot and juicy, we don't care.
Right.
Making a return after a brief hiatus, we have Lewis McNaughton. Lewis, how are we?
Yeah, not bad. I thought, as it's your birthday and as you're the host, I'd wear something blue. Remind you of your favourite team and the colour that Dens is every single week, so we can never get a fucking game.
And it never stops pushing me rain there as well, apparently, as well.
Never so.
But if you want something blue, you should have came to my wedding. That's when I needed something blue. Well, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. So you're about 8 weeks too late.
Ah, well. Next time, next wedding.
The next one.
Next one, Wait, have you been speaking to Jennifer again?
No. You can come over one.
Anyway, here is ever to give you the juicy takes, the hot takes on all of this week's wrestling action. And we'll not hang about. Let's get straight on with what we want as our front page. Kris, I'll come to you first. What have you got for me?
So front page wise, I was thinking that one of the kind of overarching things for the last few weeks has been the Rock and his return to SmackDown and the way that he's sort of allegedly ruffled some feathers with social media posts over the last few weeks with his profanity and blasphemy and general fuckaboutery with the bad language that he's been using. It has allegedly upset a lot of the WWE talent who have been told they're not allowed to use profanities on anything, whether it's social media, whether it's on television. But The Rock seems to have carte blanche when it comes to effing and jeffing all over the shop. So I think it's quite a story in itself, in the fact that, it seems like WWE is going away from the PG, or certainly the PG-13 way, especially with the offensive wording that he's been using in his monologues on Instagram and Twitter. And I went back and watched them all today. Like, he's just talking. He's just talking for the sake of talking a lot of the time. His promos, peeling back the curtain a wee bit, whenever we were told about doing cutting promos and whatnot when I was in my in-ring days, it was all about being concise and to the point and getting your point across without slavering too much. But, there's like 20-minute promos that he's been cutting on Cody and Seth Rollins.
Because you were only ever given 2 minutes, Kris.
That's it. That's pretty much it. That was just my match length as well. That wasn't even the promos. He's just going on these big kind of rants. He's repeating himself quite a lot in there. But within everything that he's saying, he's eventually getting to the crux of the storyline with Cody sticking his nose into his business and wanting to finish his story. As it feels like we've been talking about Cody finishing the story for 2 sets of podcasts now. But so some of the gems that he's been coming off with have been pretty good. I've really enjoyed the "off is the direction you can fuck" line. I think that's class. I'm not so much a fan of of him going after Pharaoh, Cody Rhodes' dog, just calling the dog shithead. I think that was a bit harsh, and it's a bit, it's not very clever.
Well, if you want to be a heel, there's nothing's going to generate more heat than talking shit about dogs. I mean, that is like, the only thing that'd be worse is talking shit about David Attenborough or something like a true national treasure.
But I think the thing is with Scotland as well, it's like we tend to think that American par is quite shite sometimes.
There is that, I suppose.
So some of the shit they come away with might have big reactions from the crowds and that. And we're thinking that's just fucking childish. You know what I mean?
Well, Americans are that divided as well. Like, probably dogs are probably the only few things left that they actually both jointly agree on.
Well, that was one of the things that kind of not shocks, but surprised me when I was watching the SmackDown the other night when Rock had his Rock concert. When the fans were cheering him, because he didn't go in on Memphis. He had a lot of love for the Memphis crowd, whereas he's been slagging every day in Phoenix and Utah and other places as well. But the Memphis crowd seemed to be really behind him, which I don't think they were really expecting. And yeah, just like even that promo that he cut after his wee sing song, it's pretty much word for word what he said a couple hours earlier when he was cutting his Instagram promo. It just, the one SmackDown obviously didn't have all the fucks and shits and whatnot in it. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it's fair, or do you think it's The Rock kind of taking a liberty? The fact that he's, because he's on the board now, he can go on social media and say whatever he wants. Whereas
that's kind of what I was going to ask you. Do you think he thinks, fuck, I'm a board member now, I can pretty much do what I want now? Or do you think it is it's been planned by WWE? Because, in a way,
not 100%. I think that it's a weird way of positioning him, because I think that making him come across and going in on Cody's family quite a bit, and then going after Cody for being so emotional in his responses, it's obviously making him have those heelish tendencies. Or as Cody said on Raw last night, he's not being a heel, he's just being an arsehole. That's coming across. But my main kind of worry about that would be if, for example, there's a turn involved in there, because obviously we're working towards Rock versus Roman at some point. A lot of people are speculating that the turn's maybe going to happen on night 2. If Roman takes the pin on night 1, for example, then that's going to affect the dynamic of the bloodline, because obviously the bloodline can't get involved in night 2, whereas if they win, they can. So it's a weird way that they're positioning The Rock in that sense, but I think the liberties that he's taken, I can see why it'd be ruffling a few feathers backstage. What do you think, Lou?
I think that, I don't know, I feel like it's a couple of points. Is probably playing into the character of the Hollywood stuff, either feeling like he can just get away with what he wants, that sort of thing anyway. Sort of playing slightly towards the Hollywood EVP sort of shtick that he has, where he is The Rock. He can say what he wants, he can do what he wants. So why not? You know what I mean? If he wants to go below the belt as much as possible, really throw the heel persona on, then why not throw a fuck, a shit, a C word, whatever he wants to in there. But then also it could be the fact that, I don't know, The Rock's been so social media heavy with films and with everything like that, that it's not completely out of the norm to hear Rock swear. You've heard Rock swear a million times. Whereas if Dominic Mysterio or someone like Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins or whoever was just fucking and shitting and this and that in the middle of the ring or in the middle of Twitter, you'll be thinking this is a bit, it doesn't really play into their character very well at all.
Well, that's
So I think
that's kind of what I
yeah.
felt with Cody on Raw last night. He came out. Usually he's in quite a light coloured suit. He's
Yeah.
quite there for the lights and whatnot. But it was a very dark suit last night. Very dapper looking, may I add. But it was in a dark suit on it, and that I think that kind of set up or was a way of him showing. Again, pun fully intended here, that he had a bit of a dark side, and that's why he's calling Rock an asshole. He's talking about him having little dick syndrome, these kind of things, and maybe aesthetically or however they want to kind of frame it, that doesn't look as good coming from the blue suit and the All American Cody Rhodes, but a darker version it kind of suits that as well instead.
Yeah, I think I think as well we're kind of getting a slight preview of what things might be like under Netflix, because one of the reasons we think that they were so determined to get with Netflix is because they might have a bit more freedom with the content they can put out, and that includes using profanity. I don't think they want to go all out and go fuck shit cunt, all that, but they obviously want to look a bit, if they want a broader audience, whether it be young or old, they want to have a looser license, don't they, on what kind of language the wrestlers use. They want to be more like UFC, and with the TKO partnership about to have its first anniversary, we're going to see more and more merging with styles with the UFC, aren't we? So I think we're starting to see an upswing in the sort of R-rated language that they're going to put out more, aren't they?
I think the thing is as well with there's a double-edged sword to that in terms of, yeah, cool, us three maybe want to see it a bit more edgy, a bit more this and that. However, you can see AEW's sort of going back a fair while with no children's sizes and t-shirts at all in and things like that. You can see the market that they've clearly gone for is the hardcore or fans, where they think they can make a statement and then it goes out to more of the audience. But WWE's its main audience is always going to be the next generation. They're always going to be playing for that next generation of fans, next generation of superstars, next generation of this and that. So they never want to make a dad or a mum or a carer or whoever go, nah, I'm not going to watch that. The Rock's just fucking cussed out my 6-year-old child, so we'll not do that again. So it's like I'm saying, it's a double-edged sword in terms of what keeps the interest in the sort of kayfabe alive by keeping it as near the bone as possible. However, making sure it's not too ridiculous or disrespectful or adult-like that it turns off the younger generation. So it's one of those where they've got to try and balance it right to sort of protect their
I think there's ways around
money
that.
for the future, I guess.
You could always make SmackDown the more family-friendly show, with it going back to USA next year. Maybe they'll have plans of that. And I know as well NXT is moving to, I think it's the CW network, and if memory serves me right, that's the sort of it's like a teenagers network. Like that was a channel I'm sure that did Smallville back in the day. So maybe they'll iron that out, but by having that as your kind of gateway entry, where the stuff's kept at more PG content. So they'll always have ways of putting out a PG or a kid-friendly content, and then they'll use Raw as the hardcore fan audience, where they want to keep a strong foothold in that 20 guys in their 20s and 30s market sort of place.
I think as well, but the thing is, it's like I'm being quite, I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe being a bit hypocritical in terms of, like, saying the kids, they can't hear the this and that, but they can log into Twitter and see a decapitation video in 1 second.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's things like that where it's what can you do sometimes? You've just got to have your sort of finger on the pulse and go with what works at the time that it goes with, but have this big plan in the future as well to sort of go towards with sort of dips in the road here and there. So yeah, I couldn't tell you what the best for business is. That's why I'm no Triple H, but you know, as well.
I think that's a very, very good first pick, Chris. Lewis, what have you got as your front page pitch?
Obviously, someone not as mainstream as The Rock. Maybe go a bit more sort of workhorse. Bit more marquee with this
Chris
one.
is the sports entertainer. You're the more hardcore
yeah,
fan.
I'll go for the in-ring work here. So I'll talk about the IC picture instead of sort of the Bloodline main event picture. Obviously, you had the gauntlet in which Sami Zayn won to face Gunther at WrestleMania. Rightly, wrongly, you can have your own opinion of that. However, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a bit more involvement from Chad Gable, Shorty G, whatever you want to call him, if you've still got fond memories of that. But it's I don't know. I think that whether they're leaning towards a triple threat, I've heard through the dirt sheets and everything that Gunther wasn't happy with a triple threat last year, even though it was one of the matches of the year. He wasn't very enthralled by the thought of that to start.
I heard it's because he didn't want another triple threat. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, throwing another one in at him could just be a bit of a discredit to the work he's put in over the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. However, then again, you're treading that thin line of what's Chad Gable got to do to get a chance on this card. You know what I mean? Get a chance on a big pay-per-view.
Surely him and Otis not.
So
him and Otis not surely going to be in the ladder match for the tag.
Nah, it was Otis and Tozawa got beat by the New Day. Was it New Day last night on Raw? So it's as if I'm pretty sure that he's trying to dissociate himself, or WWE are trying to dissociate himself from the Alpha Academy. So yeah, if Gable's not in that triple threat match, it's stupid to have him sort of lingering around there, playing this hard luck Gable story even more. Where do you play it out? There's no real point of playing it out unless it's him taking out the big guy. I think it's sort of David v Goliath. That story's played out. If he beats Sami Zayn in 4 months' time, then I don't really think that's the same effect. But yeah, a triple threat for that would be good. But then you've got a triple threat for the United States title. It's a good problem to have. It's a good headache to have of too many good superstars as opposed to shoehorning someone in there because you don't really have anyone for it.
On one hand, I'm glad that Sami Zayn is guaranteed a marquee match at WrestleMania. He was a guy that we were all hoping might actually be in the world title scene come WrestleMania, but I think we all knew that it was a long shot, especially when we knew The Rock was going to come back and put himself in that zone as well. But Chad Gable, he's a guy that we're all begging to see get his big moment at a big event, because he's not just a great in-ring talent. He's really funny as well when he's on the mic, and he does some really funny stuff on social media. He's basically Kurt Angle, isn't he? I mean, you wouldn't be shocked to find he was Kurt Angle's son, because he talks like him, he wrestles like him, he acts like him.
I think that was the big shock when they made Jason Jordan Kurt Angle's son back in the day. Like everything, all arrows pointed to being Gable, being Angle's son. But
that was such a Vince McMahon swerve, though, wasn't it? You know, it's just like that was the epitome of a Vince McMahon going, you know what to expect, but because I'm such a fucking genius and so much better than you guys, I'm going to go with the mixed race guy just for no apparent reason.
Was there not even rumours? I don't know how true this is, right? That they were going to go even further and make up that Sharmell was his mum, because you can remember
Yeah.
Kurt.
Like long-term storytelling that definitely wouldn't.
PTSD.
If you know that story, it definitely wouldn't fucking
it would have
fly in
been like
2023. Put it
that would
way,
have got them
2020, whenever it
cancelled.
was.
Jesus fuck. We're back on track. I'm delighted that Sami Zayn's going to get the one-on-one with Gunther, but yeah, we would love to see Chad Gable get a big moment, because it feels like he's the one, isn't he, to end the Gunther reign. He seems to be the one that's got the most at stake.
I think they've done a good bit of storytelling with it, because obviously they've had, they had, I can't remember what show it was on, but Gable obviously went up against Gunther before, then just came up short in it. They had the gauntlet last week on Raw, where all the momentum was with him, but he just couldn't put Sami Zayn away in it. And I think even there was a bit on Raw last night, there was an interaction between Sami and Chad, and Sami was like, you know what, my kid was crying that I didn't beat him the last time, or that my kid's been crying when I've lost big matches as well. You just need to suck it up and get on with it, type of thing. And I think with the way that they have been building this story, I still wouldn't be surprised if Chad Gable doesn't get a shot. What if Sami Zayn doesn't get the job done against Gunther on night one, for example, and then Gable's like, I can beat you, and they do it in night two.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of it being a triple threat, you get two Gunther matches. I know that it's maybe a bit overkill, because you've obviously got the Roman Reigns bloodline, Seth, Cody, all that sort of shenanigans going on. But if they did it that way, split it, where Gable comes out and he's like, no, I can beat you, I know I can beat you, kind of thing. Make that challenge for night two, have him win then. And again, this is purely selfishly for my reasons, because I think I don't want Sami to win the IC title, because I want him to win Money in the Bank in Toronto when I'm there. So that's where I'm kind of shifting my focus to with Sami. As I think they've teased talking about him as a world champion a couple of times now. He's stated his case multiple times for it, and I think that with Money in the Bank being in Canada, it's either going to be him or Kevin Owens. Like they really, because I just think for these location specific, I know that Canada is different to Berlin or to like the UK shows or Australia and whatnot, but you need to have a feel good moment at a show like Money in the Bank, especially if it is in Canada, and I think having Sami win Money in the Bank and maybe even cash in that night, I think that's what they'll do with him. But I think the most satisfying way, I think, for me would be Sami loses night one, Gable challenges Gunther for night two, takes it then.
Very solid ideas. We've talked a lot about who could be the one to take the belt from Gunther, both here and in our former parish. If it's not going to be Chad Gable, and if it's not going to be Sami Zayn either, who else out there is a strong and believable enough conqueror of the Ring General?
Breaker.
Yeah.
Simple as that, I reckon. That would be my bookie's favourite if that wasn't it. It's got to be someone. If you're not playing the underdog story with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, and you can't pull the trigger with that, you've got to go down a different route of just another beast. The next beast that pushes Gunther on his way to the next stage of his career and brings someone into his position that can benefit from it as much as Gunther did. So yeah.
Chris, what about you? Any other Gunther conquerors?
I think Breaker's a great shout. Also think, given that there's been such a feud between the New Day and Imperium over the last wee while, a return in Big E, I think would be a good solid choice for it as well.
I've always liked to see maybe Sheamus do it, because he had that brilliant match with Gunther back at Clash at the Castle, and that's what it felt like when Gunther's reign really started, and Sheamus has still never been an Intercontinental Champion, and he's you would love to see him right that wrong before he retires. And beating Gunther would be a brilliant kind of, just win it and then just immediately retire, drop the belt, mic drop. That'd be great. But yeah, I think no matter what, I mean, I would actually gladly see Gunther hold the title yet another year, because in a way it's been more exciting than Roman's title run, because contenders just coming out of nowhere, and I'd even argue it's elevated more people, even though they're not winning it. The fact that we're talking about Chad Gable in this way has elevated him further. It's taken him to new heights, and it's creating more fans for him.
I would love to, personally myself, selfishly, I'd love to see Gunther. I think it's like the case of facing one person. This is really how it goes with how dominant a champion is. They face one person, they then maybe face two, then they can face three, then they face four. Gunther's never really had that multi-man match where he's had to. It's like, how's he come away with that? He's a real. What's that fuck sound there? He's the real deal. You know what I mean? So like, if there was going to be a ladder match, like, I know you don't want to miss a one-on-one Gunther match, but just at any point, a battle royal or he makes so many enemies that there's 17 different guys that want him, and Adam Pearce just goes, take them all then.
Championship scramble. Bring back the
like that, yeah.
Championship scramble.
Where he just ends, it's pure, shows his ring IQ, things like that as well, of just being one of the best, pushing him to that next level that he's never really had.
Maybe they could bring
if he was to keep it, there's a few more ideas to go.
They could bring back a Beat the Clock. Remember they did that?
Aye.
About 10, 12 years ago. I'd love to see them bring back that. Like Gunther takes on 5 guys that he's never given a title shot before, and like none of them could do it, or something like that. That'd be great. But 2 very wonderful picks there, gentlemen. I think just because it's the bigger, more mainstream story, I think we've got to go with The Rock here and his sweary words and his profanity, and it's how it's rubbing up the wrong way. And I'm going to go with the headline here: Dwayne's potty mouth stirs up some shit.
Acknowledge me.
I'll take that. Thank you very much, Steve.
Next up, we're going to pick our back pages and see what's the best matches of the past 7 days. Lewis, let's have you first. What have we got?
I've not watched a massive amount of wrestling this week, as seems to be the case with our wrestling podcast nowadays. That's the slogan for every time we're away to talk about a match. The one I've seen, or the one that enthralled me the most, I'd say, which you would probably expect, but you maybe wouldn't expect them to get as much action or time or whatever with it, was DIY versus the Creed brothers last night. It was one of those matches where in your head you just seen it as, oh fuck, Johnny Gargano and Ciampa are away to get jobbed out here again, purely to get the next stars up. But it was one of the most back and forward raw matches that you shouldn't really have cared about as the casual fan. Not that I'm a casual fan, but I'm saying as someone who's not, maybe just, you've got one eye on the match, it's making you put 2 eyes on the match, the Creed brothers are the way to win. Nope, it's DIY, back to the Creed brothers, back to DIY. And in the end, they go for the Brutus Ball. It gets countered by, I believe it's Ciampa. He counters it into a roll-up. One of the Creed brothers rolls him back up, and Gargano hits a super kick. Ciampa rolls him back up, 1, 2, 3. And it was one of the biggest pops of the night, maybe even in the last few weeks, for Ciampa and Gargano finally getting their big moment that's not an NXT takeover. So whether it's a long shot that they win the belts at WrestleMania, it's good to see them finally getting a moment on the big stage that they've waited, 15, 20 years for nearly in their careers. So maybe not the best match, but one of the most deserved winners out of the whole week, I reckon, myself anyway.
I mean, I'm familiar enough with DIY. I'll be honest and say I think I've maybe seen a Creed Brothers match once or twice. I've seen a lot of clips of them on Twitter and Instagram getting shared. I know they do a lot of great double team moves. What is the kind of gauge with them? Are they expected to be the kind of centre tag team for the next kind of few years
especially
now
the
Uso broke up?
Yeah, they've not had any promo time or mic time or anything like that. So I think they're just getting introduced by their moves and everything right now. And one thing I didn't mention there was, I'll probably get this wrong, but I believe it might be Julius Creed. He did. You might have seen this before, where he's got. It was against the Grizzled Young Vets, I believe. He had him in the ankle lock, and then he did the one-arm powerbomb to the other person that he didn't have the ankle lock on. He did the same last night, but it was even more impressive this time because Gargano didn't get the sort of leap that he needed to, so you almost had him in a pile driver position with one arm, and within about half a second he managed to switch him to his other arm and hold the ankle with the other hand, get him up, quick powerbomb straight back into the ankle. So if there's one thing out of that match you need to see, it's that. And if those sort of moments of like improvisation and just showing that they can do it on the big stage doesn't push them to that sort of next level of being one of the main tag teams in Raw and WWE, then I don't really know what Triple H is doing or looking at.
I'm kind of the same as Steve. Like I've not seen much of the Creed brothers myself. I've seen the Brutus Bomb a couple of times, and it's quite impressive. It's quite a fun move to see. And from listening to other podcasts and what they're saying, is it Julius that's the one that everybody thinks is going to be the guy? He's going to be the breakout?
Yeah, Petty and informed here. It's Julius is the one that does the... he's sort of a hyper athlete. They're both wild, but that one hyper athlete that's got the move set along with the athleticism to really do whatever he wants. So obviously there's always going to be one in the tag team that stands out ahead of the other, which is sometimes is natural, sometimes it's sort of, I don't know, manufactured, but they're both putting on a good performance, and whether it's one of them, whether it's Julius, whether it's the both of them that end up being big single stars in the future, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think I heard one podcast described them as Steiner's brothers crossed with the Usos or something like that.
That seems a fair comparison.
That's lofty praise.
It's a glowing endorsement, that.
Aye. So yeah, that's a very good pick. I'm not seeing it. I'll be honest, but you've sold that very well, Lewis. Chris, what have you got that to counter with, please?
So the match that I was going to go with, it was a toss up between this and having it as my front page, but I've went for the back page as well instead. So I've gone with the main event from last week's AEW Dynamite between Willow Nightingale and Riho. Now, I know, Steve, you gave your hot take on Michelle Moan's debut. Mercedes Moné's debut in AEW last week, which was which you can still listen to if you go back.
Mercedes Moné is not a Tory, by the way.
She's not a Tory.
Uh-huh.
Not that we know of. I don't imagine she would be.
Aye.
But, well, I mean, with the money,
not be confirmed.
With the money she's getting
she
paid.
likes money, so mind you, maybe she does.
But yeah, the thing that Mercedes Moné, I hope, is going to bring more of a focus on in AEW is more women's matches on the one show, and the fact that the women headlined AEW Dynamite last week. I hope that that's not just about a one-time thing, just to appease Mercedes on her debut. Hopefully, it's, I don't necessarily think it's part of her contract, but I think there'll probably be more of a swell to have at least 2 women's matches on Dynamite, maybe even on Collision. Do it that way, just because they're bringing in someone of the star power of Mercedes Moné. They're bringing in someone who just again, pun fully intended, she looks money. That new the CEO chant, the theme, the way she looked, everything was incredible last week. But it didn't take away from the main event. I thought the main event between Willow and Rio was really solid. Over the course of AEW's run, whenever we've seen Rio, we know that she's kind of like the female Darby Allin in a way, in that she's always better punching up. She's always better as the underdog, and because of her size, she's pretty much the underdog all the time. And Yeah, I just thought it was a real good match. Willow, obviously with the history that she has, injuring Mercedes Moné, which has kind of prevented her from debuting sooner. There was a bit of a tease that you maybe thought that Mercedes was going to turn on her at the end of the match. But in terms of the way that she comes across, I think she's a star. I think she's almost. I think to begin with, they tried to position her as AEW's Bailey, or like old Bailey. This happy-go-lucky, happy to be here kind of character.
Kid-friendly kind of gimmick and all that.
Yeah. But for a plus-size lady, she is really, really smooth in the ring. She's fast. She's dynamic. And
she's not Nia Jax. She's not a botch fucking machine.
And I think the finish, the powerbomb finish that she delivered to Rio, like you hear the commentators saying about folding people up like accordions. Rio got folded up like a fucking accordion on the finish with that. I just thought it was really impressive because there was a lot of pressure on them to go out and main event that show, particularly when you obviously had Mercedes coming out at the start. You had the world title defended, Samoa Joe and Wardlow on that show. They had to heat up a crowd after another shit Chris Jericho match. In fact, it wasn't even that the match was shit. It's just that there's this big swell of negativity towards Chris Jericho, and that's.
I was going to say Jericho is getting go home heat now. It's getting really unbearable to watch now.
And I think again, I know that I'm picking Willow versus Dio as my match of the week, but the Gates of Agony had a great showing. For the first 3 quarters of that match, they looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, it was Jericho that was taking all the heat. Hook only really came in towards the end, but they kind of they Hulk Hogan'd it. They started no selling stuff and overcame him at the end, which I wasn't a fan of. But the crowd were really down on that match, particularly with Jericho and Hook going over. So not only did Willow and Dio have the pressure of main eventing a show that had already had so many highs, because again you had the Elite and Okada against Eddie Kingston, Penta and Pac as well.
Aye.
So they were following all of this, and to put on such a good match, and then off the back of it, you've got Anna Jay coming out, and then Mercedes making the save as well. I think it was really, really good way of.
No, Julia Hart, you mean?
Oh, aye, sorry, Julia Hart. So Julia Hart and Sky Blue, having them come out, maybe teasing that that's going to be Mercedes' first feud.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you still get the lingering thing with Willow in there as well, in that Willow injured her. Willow took the title that was supposed to be hers. So again, you've got all that intertwining as well, because I'd imagine that they're probably going to do some sort of tag or build to some sort of tag with Mercedes and Willow against Sky Blue and Julia Hart. So it was just I just thought it was very, very solid main event for two women that have been honing their craft for ages, fully deserving of the main event. Rio's the first ever AEW Women's Champion. And a lot of people kind of not that they forget it, but I think they just, because she is so slight, because she is so small. I don't think a lot of people took her seriously as Women's Champion when she was it.
Like when I first saw her, I was convinced she was only like 15 years old or something. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What are they doing? They're putting a kid in there, but it's great that she's back as well, because she's one of these ones like we only get to see her like once every 2 months, if that. I know because she lives in Japan. It's hard for her to travel all the time. I get why, but it would be great to see her more. But when you do see her, she always has an absolute banger match. It's brilliant. One thing I was going to ask you is, if all were to play out like you've just described, where would that leave Kris Statlander?
Well,
because she's Willow's tag partner on a part-time basis anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that they can play around with that. Again, I've kind of tuned out AEW over the last wee while, but I know that they've got the stuff going on with Kris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. It's I know that Stokely's been kind of pursuing Chris Statlander romantically or whatever it is, but now that Mercedes is in there, is he going to kind of shift gears? Is he going to, move towards that? I've heard talk as well of the Elite trying to recruit Mercedes money as well, because they don't have a big sort of faction that is male and female oriented. Kind of like a better Judgment Day, I suppose. You could have Mercedes coming in. She's the CEO. Makes sense to join up with the EVPs, and she could be the one to kind of keep them in check, sort of thing. So there's a lot of different ways that they can go with it. But with the Statlander and Willow thing, I think a lot of that will depend on what Stokely's motives are. If he gets his head turned, using Love Island parlance, by Mercedes money.
It's a shame they lost Sean Spears, because he was the chairman. Could have kept in, he'd be the chairman. They could get the $1 Million Man and he'd be the CFO. Well, what other board puns can we put in here?
CFO dollar sign for the music.
They do the music. And
Shane O'Mac.
I heard Vince McMahon's a free agent now.
Stacey Keebler, when she was Miss Hancock, she was the secretary.
Go with that. We'll go with that.
I'm reaching into the vast knowledge of wrestling.
We're also we're risking a cancellation button here. Going back to WCW 2000.
I don't think we're in any danger of being cancelled. Like we've talked in the group chat about podcasts that are far worse, coming with far worse than what we are. So I think we're lukewarm compared to them.
We're the PG-13 of the wrestling podcast. But there's two lovely picks here, lads.
The tepid sheet.
The tepid sheet.
That's got to be the episode title this week, isn't it?
The tepid sheet.
Great picks there, lads. Now, even though I've seen the match, Chris, and I've not seen Lewis, I'm going to pick Lewis.
No, that's fair enough.
Just because I'm fucking stupid, but it's also because
it's a mystery you've got to get with.
Aye, but it's also because it's the only one I can come up with a half decent headline with, which is DIY and Creed give you what you need.
That's good. I like it. A wee bit of rhyming. Thank you.
So there's no main centrefold this week, but we'll have a wee bit of fun. And as I said at the start of the show, it is my birthday this week, and something I like to do is gauge on who I share a birthday with, or at least what wrestlers I share a birthday with. And would you believe that I share a birthday with none other than the dead man himself, The Undertaker? But he's not the only one. There's quite a few famous wrestlers I share it with. Jack Swagger's another one. There's also Christopher Daniels.
You get the dead man and the fallen angel.
Yes, it's very, very gothic, very dark birthdays.
And the man with a hat.
The man with a hat, yep. Barry Horowitz. So a lot of jobbers get born around my birthday time as well. And I just wanted to kind of see from you guys, do you guys know who you share your or what wrestlers you share your birthdays with as well? I can tell you if you want.
I've not got a clue, but basing on my luck sometimes, I guarantee it's probably Chris Benoit.
Oh, wait a minute.
There's a bad cancellation for you boys.
Well, what was your birthday again? You said me earlier.
23rd of May.
Yeah, you're only 2 days out from it, would you believe?
Wait, Benoit?
Yep, you're swear to God. But
no fucking shock there.
Aye, you do share one with, it's quite fitting actually, because I know you're going to bring him up later, Bray Wyatt. God rest his soul.
Wyndham with the Thunder.
Aye. You also share
the wrestler crate that was, so you got a wrestler crate this month. So Bray Wyatt.
You also share one with Alex Shelley, who, is he still the Impact, the TNA champion? Or no, it's Moose now, innit?
I believe, yeah. I believe he got beat.
Aye. Chris, for yourself.
I was pretty sure that I shared, I proper shared the birthday year and everything with Mark Cardona, but it turns out he's 1 day older than me.
Aye. He
turned 39 this year.
Jesus. You share one with Farouk.
Farouk, nice.
Aye.
Damn.
I can't believe they've got Farouk but not Ron Simmons. Show that man some respect. He was the first African American world champion
for WrestleMania as well. There's like a little list of people that are looking to get back. All the big hitters.
Well, surely, is he not in the Hall of Fame yet?
Happy to hear another damn.
He's got to be in the Hall of Fame by now, surely.
Is he known as the
APA,
acolytes? Aye, APA.
Yeah.
Aye.
Nation of Domination, potentially.
He's one of those guys that you could argue could fit the trifecta, the Nation, the APA, and as a singles.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think is Flair still the only one that's got that?
X-Pac, is he?
I don't think he got a single one. I know he got one as DX and NWO, but I don't think he got one as a singles because he was too shit as a singles wrestler. Hope. I think it's
Repo Man got it, no?
For Demolition and
what about who was the guy that Shockmaster? How many has he got?
Tugboat.
Aye. Yeah, I know. There's got Flair's got Triple H obviously because himself, DX, and Evolution when they eventually do it. Cactus Jack, man, King, good love it.
Fucking low hanging fruit, that one.
Oh, brilliant. Well, Rock and Sock as well. I mean, the Rock, now that he's in the board member, he'll say to Triple H, "Fuck you! You're not being the only 3-man entry to the Hall of Fame. I'm going in myself, Nation, Anoa'i family, Rock and Sock connection, Bloodline. Aye, so I'm going to the first 5-time motherfucker. I'm Booker T in this.
It's fairly as well.
We want to get feedback from you guys. Tweet to us. What wrestlers do you share a birthday with? Just go all out, no matter whether a main event or the jobber. Let's find out who you share your birthday with. Fuck, it's been a disaster.
Hopefully Chris realises we can see him in the reflection in the mirror in case he gets fucking ridiculous here.
I barely saw any of it last night. What actually went on? I know obviously there was a Cody promo. Punk, did Punk not make an appearance or something?
There was a little bit. Obviously, we'll get our Punk bit in of he said whether he'll be at WrestleMania, whether they like it or not. So whether he's cleared or not, whether it's unsanctioned or sanctioned, he wants to appear. So there's your Punk teaser for the next couple of weeks. And I seen he got his bionic arm off as well. So I doubt it'll be in any sort of role of significance. And people were saying referee, but it involves a lot of arms, I believe.
Aye.
My extensive wrestling watching in my life, he'd probably be better being the timekeeper or something, or maybe get him on commentary for a laugh.
Aye, put him in comms. I mean, as he said himself, you can't have WrestleMania in Philadelphia without Phil. I was quite pleased to see that they're trying to incorporate him in some way. I just hope it's not in some kind of interference way. Cause I think there's probably going to be enough interference throughout both nights in various matches. I don't think they need Punk causing shit in like the World Heavyweight match.
I will be honest though, I would lose my shit if he comes out and any interferes in the tag match. Whether it goes either way, I couldn't care. Because I think it'd be hilarious if he comes out and does a GTS to the Rock. just finally for revenge, costing them 2 WrestleMania main events in a row.
Aye, it'd be quite good because again, you've got to think that if there's going to be bloodline involvement, there's got to be other people that have got Cody and Seth's back at some point. You've got to think there's going to be somebody there. Do you think Dustin is going to get involved?
I would love to see a sort of Avengers type sort of delay that they're talking about, but it seems as though, I don't know. Yeah, Kevin Owens is tied up, Sami Zayn is tied up, obviously Jey Uso's tied up, everyone, but then that could mean they've got a reason to be there, you know what I mean? If Dustin's sort of, like you said, maybe tying things up with AEW if he wants to, or he's maybe getting that one-off appearance that they might allow for his brother's big day,
I
then why not?
think
Fucking
Tony
fling
would
him in.
allow it. I don't think
Yeah.
Tony would have
100%.
any issue with it.
Well, he let -1. I know he doesn't actually work for him, but he let -1 be the ringside last year, so he'll probably be there again. Or QT Marshall, actual running in save it from QT Marshall, the saviour of WrestleMania.
Just the whole nightmare factory, Arden Solo, he can get pied off by Bailey as he runs
Aye.
out. I just bring the whole gang.
Probably
The whole
Brandy
I
gang.
would
will
love
get
to
involved
see-
as well.
I'll throw a really controversial thing in here, and you guys can think just purely because it's sitting here to my left. Am I right in thinking that it was the Fiend that Roman took the belt off, or it was in a triple threat at least with the Fiend?
He pins Strowman.
Strowman.
Aye.
So and he took the title off the Fiend anyway. So if they're doing the Avengers type thing, would it be? Do you think it would be? Do you think it would be honouring him, or do you think it would be a bit fucking below the belt if they were to do something? Say, Sammy comes out, KO comes out, Jay comes out, the lights go, you hear a little bit of Bray Wyatt's voice, just to spook him a little bit more. Do you think something like that would
that'd be brilliant.
Do you think that would be an honouring thing, just to go through the sort of 3 years of people that he's wronged in the past?
Yeah.
Braun can come out.
Give him his moment, even though he can't be there. Maybe because obviously his dad's going to be there as well at the Hall of Fame. Could be something, just a complete off the top of the head moment that might work to sort of honour him, especially with
finish the demon or something like that.
Yeah.
Aye. It'd be pretty cool. It'd be like it would be like the end game kind of moment where everybody teams up at once to finally beat Thanos. So it would be pretty cool.
I just had visions, like we were talking before we started recording about Ghostbusters Afterlife, and how at the end of that, spoilers if you've not seen a film that's been out for 3 years, that Harold Ramis, the ghost of Harold Ramis, the ghost of Egon Spengler, helps them defeat the Gozer at the end of it. It's like, that's what I was thinking. You went to Avengers, I went to Ghostbusters. for that, just the ghost of Bray. Don't cross the streams, you mad bastards.
Well, they did it before. I know they made an arse it, but there was it Dean Ambrose in a Hell in a Cell match where he went to the corner, the lights went out, and they did a hologram of Bray.
Aye.
I remember that for some reason.
That was against. Was it against Bray?
Was it not against Rusev or something like that?
Nah, it was a Hell in a Cell. I think it was. I don't know. I feel like it was. Or am I thinking of the TV monitor that fucking exploded in his face? That big battle shite that time was. But yeah, I get what you're on about. I see where you're coming from with that. So yeah, you never know.
Right, cool. We better crack on here. So next up we have our page 3 gossip section where we trying to find the nice the best bit of titillating news that's making the dirt sheet rounds this week. Kris, I'll come to you first. What have you got there?
What did I pick? Oh, aye. So I've just, this is more of a kind of a thought piece to get your guys' ideas on it. I've seen a couple of interviews with Brit Rez and Irish wrestling folk over the last wee while, talking about NXT Europe starting up. It was supposed to start last year. It's been shelved. Apparently TKO don't see it as a priority, but it is still something that's going to happen. I was just want to get your guys' thoughts. Do you think it will happen? Do you think it should happen? And will you be arsed either way?
I don't want it to happen. Hope it never does happen. Couldn't give a flying fuck if it does or doesn't happen. I liked NXT UK, don't get me wrong, especially in its early days. It was great to see so many UK talent get some mainstream exposure, but it also fucked the British independent scene. And let's be honest, we all really know that's why WWE did it, because the British and European worldwide independent scene was really bubbling at that time. And wrestling was at its hottest, had been in the continent in God knows how many years. We were really enjoying it. I mean, it got so good that big name talents that weren't signed at WWE team came over here and came on shows. It's arguably how Cody got his career back in track. After getting released in WWE in 2016. He came over here and slowly built his reputation. But Drew as well. It kind of brought him back to the fore. Even AJ Styles and the Young Bucks, they were doing stuff here around 2016, 2017 time, and it was all because they knew that Europe and the UK was the best place to be at the time. And then WWE came and got involved, and it just cut the legs from under the indie scene here.
I guess the same way. Like a prime example of that's ICW. I hate to shit on or not shit on them, but maybe discredit the work they're doing in terms of some things they've done. But they were packing out arenas with 1,000 people plus, before WWE came, and WWE's came, sort of sucked them dry of everything. Put them in smaller venues, but put the not that they've really gone from venue to venue, but they've sucked them dry and put the promotion value up so much that they've kind of got to keep with that as much as possible. They want to keep the value up as much as possible, so they're going to smaller arenas, stuff like that. And I even went to a show a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, the Final Fight Club, and I didn't even know how to get in. You know what I mean? Like, it was a wee side door, and it was a bit sad sometimes, just from what it was and what I had in my head. So I hope it just gets back to what it was. And my opinion on NXT UK or NXT Europe coming is that Triple H and William Regal have their finger on the pulse a lot more than Vince McMahon did. So they can bridge that gap of getting people over, like your Lyra Valkyria, like someone you know pretty well, Chris. I know we can say NXT UK gave her a big head start, things like that, but I think it's going to be a lot easier for people to come over now and not need NXT UK. Just be able to call up one of them or have their work seen by them as opposed to have their own brand to put that work on. They'll have had their work seen, and if they really want them, instead of bringing a massive influx of talent over and not letting them work with anyone else, they'll just cherry pick who they want and when they think they're ready, just to not fuck any other promotion, but help WWE when they need it. So I think it's completely irrelevant.
I think when you look at the post COVID, I think there has been a rise in the amount of UK promotions doing things like, I know that there was like Me Too and all that during COVID, and a lot of promotions and a lot of promoters quite rightfully fell by the wayside with it. There does seem to be a big swell in the number of UK independents like actually being successful as well. I mean, you mentioned their ICW. They've got the biggest name draw as such in Scotland, but from listening to Billy's podcasts and a scroll through Twitter, you've got likes of Iron Girders, you've got WrestleZone, W3L, loads of promotions in Scotland that are running really well. We've got PWR as well, Andy Wilde's promotion. It's learning from strength to strength. He's been doing a lot of work with Mega Slam, who are a touring company that I think Martin Kirby has a lot to do with. And there's guys turning up on those shows that have been in and around the UK scene for ages, maybe not on the biggest stages, but are now getting that kind of thing. I'd seen a video today on Andy Wilde's Instagram where he's fighting this guy called Niwa, who is this New Zealand wrestler who I have trained with back when I was wrestling. I trained with him a couple of times, was on a couple of shows with him. In fact, I'm not blaming him for it, but I had almost torn my rotator cuff off a back suplex that he delivered to me because he got me up so high for it. And just the way that I landed, my shoulder turned into shredded wheat off the back of it. But Neil was a great guy. He's been coming over here for 5-6 years. And he's on these Mega Slam shows. So I'd imagine, now that he's based in the UK, if NXT Europe are looking for powerhouses, that kind of thing, Niwa will be right at the top of their pick for them. Tucker, who was one of my trainers, he's never been fully away from the WWE spotlight since the UK tournament, the initial UK tournament. Like Myla Grace, Anita Vaughn, she's doing great stuff. She's been over in WXW quite recently. She's been doing stuff in Italy and Switzerland, I think, as well, Belgium. Also, and she's doing great stuff with Debbie Keitel and Eve Riot as well. So there's lots and lots of new stars ready to make the jump to the Fed, but I don't necessarily think that they need NXT Europe to do it.
Yeah.
I think the success that they have, I mean, even looking at the likes of Michael Oku, he has had an amazing year. Obviously, with his rivalry with Will Ospreay, I think he's pretty much earmarked for an AEW run. I would not surprise me if he ends up at Wembley in some sort of capacity. I know he was there as an extra during the Stadium Stampede match last year. He was a barman, I think, during it. But it would surprise me to see him on the All-In card at some point. Amira his missus, his Valley as well. She's absolute money. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stars in the waiting, whether it's in Ireland, Scotland, or England. But I personally don't feel that NXT Europe is what they need to make it.
And I think there's no Gunter there anymore to get that big audience as well. I mean, I don't get all those names you rhymed off there, Chris. If they were to be a part of it, it would be a great show. But you need a big start to build off of. Like NXT UK had the advantage of they had Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They already had that, but a mainstream exposure, and then they brought Gunter and further down the line. That's kind of why they did it, didn't they? It was to kind of hit a launch pad for Gunter and Pete Dunne. I don't know if the talent's out there anymore. I just don't want to see it because we need a good, healthy, vibrant scene here in the UK, and that we're only going to get that when we've got a lot of indie level promotions that have the freedom to book who they want when they want, and to travel where they want without WWE saying that guy's on another contract and we need him for that weekend. So we need to have that variety out there. But it's a very good pick, Kris. Lewis,
Thank you.
I'm going to come to you next for your pick.
I'll just be short and sweet because as we're getting on, and maybe get just a yes or no or a couple of points of each here. Whether or not you've seen Matt Hardy at Raw last night, and the bleachers were ready.
Mm-hmm.
Throwback to WrestleMania 33, I believe, was it? Do we see them as a mystery sixth team in that ladder match at WrestleMania? What percentage-wise are you thinking yes or no? And do you want to see it happen? Even if it's just a one-off last match for the both of them, just to finish their careers in WWE.
I think Jeff's still got a year in his contract.
I was going to say.
Oh, does he that kill it? Kill it dead?
I don't know if it necessarily kills it dead, because I'd imagine, if anybody was going to go into breach a contract, you'd think it's going to be Jeff Hardy. But yeah, it's certainly interesting. The fact that they mentioned Matt and Jeff on commentary as well, I think that was a big kind of tell. It was either a big tell or a big fuck you. Like it's one of those. Michael Cole's been told to mention it on commentary for a reason. So yeah, it's interesting in that it's a jump essentially, but I couldn't be less interested in it. I've not been interested in Matt Hardy since Sammy Guevara concussed him 3 years ago. Like that was the last time I felt anything for him. So if he goes back, BFD, big fucking deal.
Kind of the same. I mean, I love the Hardy Boys, but they've kind of had their time now, and I think I'm sick of seeing Jeff damn near kill himself, flinging himself off ladders. I've seen it too many times now. And Matt, I think Matt's one of these guys where I think you've kind of had yourself by date now, mate. I think it's time to kind of pack it in, because they're at this now, or maybe a bit like Jericho. It's kind of outstaying its welcome, aren't they? I think we've kind of seen it all now. We don't need to see it anymore, and you've kind of surely you're both major money now. Do you really still need to be doing this? And look, with them coming out as mystery tag team in a ladder match at WrestleMania again, would that get a big pop? Would it be a nice nostalgia moment? Yes, but at the same time, we've seen it before. We don't need to see it again. I'd rather a young tag team like the Creeds, who we just talked about earlier, get their first WrestleMania moment. I think that we're better served, because it's a milestone WrestleMania, and one of the things I always feel we need to do at a milestone WrestleMania is build the future. And WWE's got a lot of great young talent, both in its main roster and NXT, that it really needs to start pushing out now, and it needs to start now, especially now when they've got the most amount of buys it's had on it in a very, very long time. They've got to take advantage of this and say, right, we've got a bazillion people watching this. It's not going to be many more opportunities like this, and we've got Netflix starting next year. Let's get the young talent out there. Let's get the Trick Williams, the Tiffany Strattons, the Creed brothers all out there now, so that we can build the guys who are going to build the company on for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's why I'd rather they use that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think, again, my knowledge of NXT isn't great. I mean, the reason that I usually host this podcast is because I don't really watch the wrestling. I just get that information for you guys. No, not at all, Steve, not at all. But yeah, I'm
just here to bring the age down.
That's it. You're here to bring down the demo. You're the demo god for this. But teams like Chase U, for example, do you think there's a chance that the peripheral tag teams in NXT could end up in that match? The
family, Tony D'Angelo and Stax. I think they're brilliant. I've rated Tony.
Gallus.
Gallus. Got a bit of homegrown.
Did you say Stax? Is Stax a real guy?
Yeah, Stax and
I genuinely thought Stax was a guy that Adam Wilborn made up on What Culture.
What Culture, sorry,
you're telling me that's actually a guy?
Yeah, that's his tag team partner, Tony D'Angelo. I thought he's
is that his name?
Just big mobster gimmick, big Stax. So they've got another guy in the mix now as well. So yeah, I think if there's going to be any tag team breaking through from there in the near future, it's Tony D'Angelo. Needs his moment on the main roster. So if I was to choose one, it'd be them.
I am shook. I genuinely thought he was just a really, really bad character that Wilborn was doing.
Great accent. Give him the flair.
I think we're just going to go slightly lean towards Chris on that one again, just because I couldn't really come up with a headline for the Hardys, but my headline for this, in reference to NXT Europe, is Brentry. So
Brentry. Nice. I like that. I like it.
It's like reverse Daily Mail.
Yep.
I might say earlier, we were talking about IC Dub. If you get a chance, try and look out some of the footage they did from the Great Glasgow Bash they did on Sunday there. It was fucking brilliant. They all did dress up gimmicks. Like Lewis Girvin came out as Lou McIntyre. It was
Drew Galladay, wasn't it?
Drew Galladay, sorry, that's what it was. It was
Lou McIntyre would have been just as good though. That was my gimmick I started here.
But the best ones though was Jason Reed and Craig Anthony.
Paddy Power.
Paddy Power against William Hill. It was the old fun, but the spots they did were hilarious. Like Jason Reed got a yellow card for using a weapon, and Craig Anthony was going to.
Rangers.
Aye, exactly. And Craig Anthony was was going to kick a ball off Jason's arse, but the referee put the foam down first for like a free kick. The best bit was that it was a screw job in the end. The referee actually pinned both of them and then revealed himself to be a Partick Thistle supporter.
Yeah.
So
I've seen some of the clips on socials and it looks like it's class. And like that kind of thing, that's
what I see
that's
about,
what
I think, as well.
that's what you want. You want that, especially during the comedy festival. That's like, even if you're not a wrestling fan, that would have been brilliant to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. He's like, it's why NXT Europe can fuck off, because we need guys available to do stuff like that. That's what gets punters in.
It's like,
It's
fuck the
funny.
lights and fuck the lights and the camera and the action of the ICW under the WWE banner. Like, this is the one thing that I think gets them back to the old ICW that we know and love. Just fucking stupid shit that just like relates to you and gives you a laugh at the end of the day.
Aye, and check out Billy's podcast, because he'll be talking more about that on the Scottish Wrestling Network. I don't
think he does. I don't think he talks about much ICW. I think he's got a bit of beef with him. He's quite picky with the promotions that he works with. I think ICW is one of the ones that he kind of steers clear of. But if you do enjoy Scottish wrestling, definitely check out Scottish Wrestling.
Yes.
Just no ICW.
I think Billy might also be doing another extra hot for us this week. Last week's one did really good numbers on YouTube, so if you watched the interview with Andrew Crammond of Bleeding Gums Deathmatch Wrestling, then cheers for doing so. It's done some pretty good numbers for us, and I think his shows start April, I believe, or whenever that is. Go back and listen to it again, get the dates, and go and see boys going at it with streamers and syringes into eyeballs. I think Andrew was talking about as well.
Sounds fun for all the family there.
Indeed.
Chris, just quickly, are we allowed to discuss the potential interview that we've got coming up soon?
Oh, I think we'll leave it as a tease.
Yes.
Is that because it's a biggie. It is a biggie. It's going to be a good one to bring in. And B, I want to make sure I've got it in the can before announcing that we've actually got it. Because knowing my luck, something will happen and whatnot. But yeah, if you enjoy wrestling, if you enjoy Scottish wrestlers, if you enjoy wrestlers on the grandest stage of them all, tune in a couple of weeks' time, because I
Not
think
to give you any clues, guys.
I think we might have some stuff. Right, I know that you're hosting, Steve, but we're almost out of time and need to say goodbye. So if we move on to this next wee bit, that was a big fucking hint drop there. But we'll sorry.
We'll cut this bit in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we'll cut this bit, maybe. But we'll thank you very much again for tuning in to another hot edition of the
we still get the telly pages.
We're going to get them in?
We can get them in. Right. I'd say we can go another 6 minutes here, I think.
Right, fuck it. Right, go. Right. Just quickly, lads, have you got anything non-relation related but still wrestling related to check out?
I can't even fucking mind what mine was about, so let me check.
The Bray Wyatt documentary.
So was just I was doing a bit of service there once again. But yeah, obviously, if you've seen on the WWE socials, everything like that, the life and the mind of Wyndham Rotunda is coming to your screens on the 1st of April. Set you right up for WrestleMania weekend. Probably on a fucking pretty big downer. If you're as much of a Bray Wyatt fan as me, whether that's a bit close to the 6 months. Something like that, 8 months.
There was a week of All In, and that was August.
August, yeah.
Aye.
So 8 months since he died. This has probably been in. The ball's been rolling for probably a few months anyway. JoJo's in it. She talks about Bray Wyatt. A lot of his close friends, everyone talks about Bray Wyatt. So it's going to be raw. It's going to be pretty pretty emotional for even the most stone cold people in the wrestling scene. And above else, though, it'll tell the story that is going to forever remain untold, I guess, in the mind and in the life of Bray Wyatt. So hopefully it does him justice. WWE documentaries usually do. So I guess in terms of my wrestling watching and the documentaries, all roads lead towards the 1st of April and that.
Yep, I think it's going to be a tough watch, but a worthwhile watch. I think it's again not to sound patronising or anything like that, Lewis, but there's being older than you and being about the same age as Bray, having kids and whatnot. I mean, it's just his death and Brody Lee's death probably hit me the hardest of any wrestling death that's happened in my wrestling watching life, just purely because at that stage in life I was in a similar position in terms of the family setup and all that, and just knowing what they've left behind, and the not just the fans that had to mourn it, but the young families as well. And I hope it's a celebratory, tribute, as opposed to something that's too down in the weeds of what went on with him and whatnot. I hope it is a celebration of his life as opposed to a downer. But I mean, there's them to be sad. There's them to be affected by it, and I think a lot of people will be. But I think there's a lot of scope. They'll have a lot of footage. They'll have a lot of unseen footage, I'd imagine, as well, that is going to show us just how great a guy Wind of the Thunder was.
I think that's definitely one that we'll come back to when we've all got around to seeing it. I might even do my own kind of video on that one, because I think I'm really interested in about that.
I'd like to do one as well, so we can maybe all put our opinions in it.
I think it's definitely a must see, no doubt about it. Chris, have you got anything?
It's a recommend, but not a recommend. In that I watched it the other night there, and it was utter dross. And I think that because I've watched it, other people should suffer as well. Ricky Stinnicky on Amazon Prime is dreadful. It's really bad. I went from watching The Iron Claw on Saturday night to watching Ricky Stinnicky on Sunday night, and I don't think there's a bigger drop off in the quality of film than what Zac Efron's experience between the two of them. The premise of the film is really good. So basically, Zac Efron, Andrew Santino, and some other dude whose name I didn't remember, they have a made up friend that they use as an excuse to get out of doing stuff, and then it comes back to bite them. And they go to Atlantic City and find this guy played by John Cena, which is the wrestling link in with it. And basically, he's a shit actor who has a gig in Atlantic City singing songs about wanking. Like that's the thing. He does karaoke, and all the songs that he sings are about jizzing. That's it.
In pattern nowadays, is it?
And basically, what happens is they hire him to be Ricky Stinnicky. They hire him to be the guy that doesn't exist, and then he infiltrates their friendship group and their work, and hilarity does not ensue. It's really shit. It's really shit.
Is that what?
Is it not dead funny though that they cast John Cena in a role of a guy that no one can see?
It is. I mean, there's probably some sort of thing in that. But again, like, see, even if they did a big wink to that, you would miss it because you'd have switched the film off. But,
is that why John Cena had an OnlyFans?
Yes, it was to do with that. That's why he did it. Okay. I'd imagine that OnlyFans was more entertaining than the film.
That and representing an Oscar naked.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying about how the coming out and doing the thing at the Oscars and the nip was his Illuminati humiliation ritual, whatever. This film's worse. Like, I cannot stress how bad it is. Like, it's trying to be like it's trying to be like an late 90s, early 2000s teen comedy without the teenagers and without the comedy. There was a film I can't remember what it's called. It's got Jerry McConnell in it, or Jerry O'Connell, sorry, from back then, about a guy that gets ball cancer, and all the jokes are about this guy having one ball, and there's a bit where they take out his ball and the doctor loses it, and the ball starts bouncing through the hospital and ends up in somebody's pasta. Right, it's on a par with being that bad. Like, it's shit.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
but again, go and watch it to tell me when I'm telling lies.
Fair enough.
You know what?
You actually look a wee bit upset. Speaking about it, Chris.
Do you know why I'm upset? Right?
I
I wanted to watch it last weekend, right? But my Amazon Prime was being a dick, and it was only playing the audio. It wasn't playing the film. So I eventually managed to figure out what was going on, fixed it, sat down to watch it on Sunday night, and regretted it pretty much instantly. I didn't even finish the film. I got to the bit where John Cena started working for the same company as Anthony Santino and Zac Efron. So yeah, if you go and watch it further than that, but tell me if it got any better, because it did not look like it was going to.
Sounds like the Amazon Prime is actually doing you a favour by not showing you the visuals.
Yeah, aye. But yeah, not a recommendation.
Fair enough. I've quickly got two. I'm surprised neither of you mentioned it. The Dark Side of the Ring episode about Buff Bagwell.
Oh, I've not watched any of the Dark Side for this series yet, but apparently it's quite eye opening. Yes,
and there's a lot of ball tinkering going on there, and I'll leave it at that because. Well, if you've got mother issues, you've got a lot in common with Buff Bagwell, and I'll leave that there. The other recommendation is Cultaholic started a really good miniseries. It's called Roads to WrestleMania. It's basically a highlight of Cody Rhodes' career all the way up to WrestleMania this year. It's brilliantly produced, and Tom Campbell, he's one of these guys that he could make the worst day of your life bearable because he's just so fucking funny. Like, and he can just switch on it and make it funny. And
he could make Ricky Stanicky funny.
Probably could.
I mean, there's a circumcision joke in it that you can spot a mile away. Like, it's so bad. Sorry to hijack yours again, but it's just this shit. It's fucking awful. Sorry.
No, but actually, I should ask: is it worse than that Jackie Chan movie that Cena did as well? Did you watch that one?
I don't know.
Oh, that was fucking terrible as well.
That's probably no. That's actually probably worse. Yes.
He was like,
even though you've not seen it. Educated, yes.
I think, but
yeah, next awards season, I fully expect it to be picking up the Razzies, and I hope John Cena turns up to that in the nip to accept the awards.
Well, that'll be his reverse initiation.
When they kick him out the Illuminati.
Because the Oscars gets you into the Illuminati, and the Razzies gets you out. It's why Tom Hanks is still in it, because he's too good an actor to get a Razzie.
Who was it? Was it Halle Berry turned up to pick up a Razzie holding the Oscar that she'd won the night before, on the same night or something like that?
Aye, there was also Paul Verhoeven. He was the first guy to actually show up and accept it, and he got every award on that night. But
was that for Showgirls?
Aye, but the ratings for that were actually bigger than the Oscars.
Showgirls, Lewis, was a film that probably came out then about the time you were born, with Jesse out of Saved by the Bell, which was finished by the time you were born.
Yeah,
it's I was going to call it a coming of age film, and
in more ways than one.
It's definitely a coming of age film.
Yep,
I'll take about watch.
Dolphin Sex.
Dolphin sex.
Yeah, I'll
Something
leave
I've
it at
always
that.
wanted to see.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah, let's end this fucking podcast. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's Heat Sheet. Stay tuned for some more hot takes, but more than anything, just enjoy wrestling.
cheerio.